1986, California. An election campaign is starting. One of the candidates wants to become mayor of a small town. It could have been a normal election, but the candidate isn't a normal person. The candidate is Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry, the cowboy, one of Hollywood's biggest stars. And now, a mayoral candidate? The press went crazy. Is Eastwood going into politics? Is this practice for the presidency? Is this a joke? It wasn't a joke, and the reason Eastwood got into politics was perhaps the most absurd political motivation in history. Ice cream. Yes, ice cream. Clint Eastwood became mayor so he could eat ice cream. This story is real, and it deserves to be told. Let's begin. Carmel-by-the-Sea, one of California's most beautiful towns. On the Monterey Peninsula, a small paradise overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Population around 4,000. Artists, writers, retirees, wealthy people, peaceful lives. This town's history was interesting. In the early 1900s, Carmel was founded as an artists' colony. Painters, writers, poets flocked here. Bohemians escaping the crowds of San Francisco. Jack London had written here. Sinclair Lewis had stayed here. Ansel Adams had photographed here. The town saw itself as art's sanctuary. And to protect this identity, it had created rules. Lots of rules. There were no street numbers. Numbering houses was considered commercial. Addresses were given by description. The house on the street facing the sea, next to the third pine tree. Neon signs were banned. Actually, almost all signs were banned. Shops could only display their names on small, wooden, artistic signs. Chain restaurants were banned. No McDonald's, no Starbucks, no chain brands could enter, and even street lamps were limited. The town stayed dark at night. To see the stars, they said. These rules made Carmel special, but they also suffocated it. Eastwood discovered this town in the 1950s. As a young actor, not yet famous, he fell in love with the town. In the 1970s, he bought a property, a historic ranch called Mission Ranch, land outside town, overlooking the sea. For Eastwood, Carmel was a refuge, an escape from Hollywood's craziness, the place where he rested between films, recharged, and Carmel had adopted Eastwood. The town saw him as one of their own, not a celebrity, a neighbor. But Carmel had a problem: rules. Carmel was one of America's most rule-bound towns, and these rules were interesting. You needed a permit to wear high heels. I'm serious. If women wanted to wear high heels, they needed permission from the city. The sidewalks were uneven, and the city didn't want to be sued. Eating on the street was banned. Anywhere. You couldn't sit on a bench and eat a sandwich. Cutting down a tree was nearly impossible. You couldn't even cut down a tree in your own yard. The permit process took months, and most importantly, ice cream cones were banned. You couldn't sell ice cream cones in restaurants, cafes, or on the streets. Ice cream could only be eaten with a spoon on a plate while sitting. Why? The city council said aesthetics. Ice cream drips would dirty the sidewalks. Tourists would eat while walking, leave trash. Carmel's artistic atmosphere would be ruined. These rules had existed for decades, and most residents complained about them. But the city council wouldn't change them. This is exactly where Eastwood came in. 1985. Eastwood wanted to restore the Mission Ranch. The historic building was about to collapse. Eastwood wanted to save it, restore it, maybe open a hotel and restaurant. He applied to the city. Denied. Eastwood was surprised. This was a historic building. Wouldn't restoring it be better than letting it collapse? He applied again, denied again. The city council wasn't against Eastwood. They were against everyone. They rejected every new project, every change, everything. The town was frozen. Nothing could change. Nothing could develop. Eastwood started getting angry. And one night, at dinner with friends, someone made a joke. "Clint, why don't you become mayor? Then you can do whatever you want." Everyone laughed. Eastwood didn't laugh. "Why not?" he said. And so it began. When Eastwood announced his candidacy, the media went wild. National news, international news. Dirty Harry becomes mayor. The Associated Press picked up the story. The New York Times wrote about it. Even European media was interested. A small town's mayoral election had become world news. Johnny Carson made jokes on The Tonight Show. If Eastwood becomes mayor, criminals will think twice before entering town. "Do you feel lucky, punk?" David Letterman wasn't far behind. What will Eastwood's first act be? Walking into city council with a .44 Magnum? The jokes were funny, but Eastwood's candidacy started a serious debate. Some thought it was a joke. Some thought it was the beginning of larger political ambitions. Eastwood will become governor. Eastwood will become president. Reagan was an actor and became president. Why not Eastwood? Eastwood rejected all of it. "I just want to fix Carmel," he said. "I love this town, but the city council is strangling it. We need change." And the campaign began. Eastwood's campaign was different from Hollywood. He didn't spend money. He didn't advertise. He didn't hire a PR team. He walked the streets. He went door to door. He talked to people, shook hands, listened. "I'm your neighbor," he said. "I've lived here for 30 years. I love this town as much as you do." His opponent was Charlotte Townsend, the current mayor, defender of the old rules. Townsend had lived in Carmel for 40 years. She thought she was the real representative of the town. Townsend labeled Eastwood as an outsider celebrity. "The Hollywood star thinks our town is his toy," she said. Her campaign was built on opposition to Eastwood. "If you elect Eastwood, Carmel will become Hollywood. Neon signs, chain restaurants, noise. Our town's soul will die." This fear could have been effective, but Eastwood's response was more effective. Eastwood responded, calm, measured, Eastwood style. "I've lived here for 30 years. I pay taxes. I shop here. I know my neighbors. Who's the outsider?" At a press conference, a journalist asked, "Mr. Eastwood, your opponent sees you as Hollywood's representative. What do you say?" Eastwood smiled. "Hollywood is in Los Angeles. I live in Carmel. And I love Carmel. No less than Mrs. Townsend." Another journalist asked, "Is this mayorship preparation for politics? Governor? President?" Eastwood shook his head. "No, I'm not a politician. I just want to solve my town's problems. It's that simple." This response was effective. When election day came, the result wasn't surprising. Eastwood won, with 72% of the vote, an overwhelming majority. The people of Carmel had spoken. They wanted change, and they trusted Eastwood. April 8, 1986. Clint Eastwood was sworn in and became mayor of Carmel-by-the-Sea. Salary, $200 a month. Not even 1,000th of what Eastwood got for one film. But Eastwood didn't care. This wasn't about money. The first day of work came. Eastwood walked to City Hall. No security, no driver, like a normal citizen. He sat at his desk and got to work. His first actions came quickly. The ice cream ban was lifted. Yes, really. One of the first things Eastwood did was lift the ice cream cone ban. This ban had been bothering residents for years. Tourists complained. Business owners were losing customers. An ice cream shop owner had explained, "People came wanting ice cream, but they couldn't eat while walking. They had to sit and finish it. Most said, 'Forget it,' and left." Eastwood submitted a proposal to the council. A simple change. Ice cream cone sales should be allowed. Some council members objected. "The sidewalks will get dirty. Aesthetics will be ruined." Eastwood responded, "We have city employees to clean sidewalks, and we have bigger problems than ice cream drips." A vote was held. The ban was lifted. Eastwood later said with a laugh, "I'll probably go down in history as the ice cream liberator. Could be worse things." The media loved this story. "Dirty Harry brings ice cream freedom." Headlines were funny, but Eastwood was serious. This wasn't just about ice cream. It was symbolic. The end of the city's excessive control. Then came the other rules. The high heel permit was eliminated. Now women could wear whatever shoes they wanted. The street eating ban was relaxed. Now people could sit in the park and eat a sandwich. Building permits were expedited. Now you didn't have to wait months for simple renovations. And of course, the Mission Ranch project was approved. Eastwood restored the ranch. Historic buildings were saved. A hotel and restaurant opened. It still operates today. But Eastwood's mayorship wasn't just about changing rules. Eastwood ran the city like a business. Meetings would be short and to the point. Instead of hours of arguments, focus on the issue. Bureaucratic barriers would be removed. People could do business with the city. And most importantly, the city would listen to the people. Bottom-up governance, not top-down. This approach was similar to Eastwood's style on film sets. Efficiency, results orientation. No wasting time on unnecessary things. And it worked. Carmel came alive. New businesses opened. Tourists increased. Property values rose. Residents were happy. Eastwood did something else that earned a lot of appreciation. He expanded the library, had a new addition built. "A town's heart is its library," he said. He cleaned up the beaches, improved the garbage collection system. Carmel's natural beauty would be preserved, and he never stopped communicating with the public. Every week there were open-door hours. Any citizen could come and talk to the mayor. No appointment needed. One day, an elderly woman came. She had a problem with a tree in her yard. A neighbor was complaining. Eastwood listened to her, took notes. "Someone will come look tomorrow," he said. The woman was surprised. Aren't you Clint Eastwood? Dirty Harry?" Eastwood smiled. "Right now I'm the mayor, and your tree problem is my problem." This story spread around town. Eastwood was really working, really listening. Not just a name, but not everyone was happy. Some old conservatives hated Eastwood. "He's destroying Carmel's soul," they said. The rules were what made the town special. Now we're becoming just any place. Eastwood didn't care. "Rules exist for people," he said. "People don't exist for rules." One incident was particularly interesting. During Eastwood's mayorship, a famous director visited the town. We don't know who, but the story is told. The director wanted to meet Eastwood. He went to City Hall. Eastwood was sitting at his desk, doing paperwork. The director was surprised. "Clint, what are you doing here?" Eastwood looked up. "Working. What are you doing?" "I brought a film offer." "Not now. There's a city council meeting at 4:30. We can talk after that." The director was even more surprised. A city council meeting? Hollywood's biggest star is going to a city council meeting? Eastwood shrugged. I'm the mayor. That's my job. This story shows Eastwood's seriousness. This wasn't a hobby. This was a responsibility. For 2 years, Eastwood attended every meeting, signed every decision, listened to every complaint, and during this time, he only made one film. Heartbreak Ridge. When filming was outside Carmel, he followed city business by phone. Was this a sacrifice? Perhaps, but Eastwood didn't complain. He'd made a promise, and he kept his word. 1988. His 2-year term ended. Eastwood didn't run for re-election. I did my job, he said. We fixed the town. Now someone else can continue. Some were disappointed. Eastwood should continue, they said. There's still a lot to do. Eastwood refused. Politics isn't my business. I'm a filmmaker. I helped Carmel, now I'm going back to film. The press pushed. But Mr. Eastwood, Reagan was an actor too. You could be president. Eastwood answered thoughtfully. Reagan loved politics. I don't. I love telling stories. Politics requires too much talking. I don't like talking. This answer summarized Eastwood. Actually, a presidential offer really had come to Eastwood. In 1988, the Republican National Committee wanted to add his name to the list of potential candidates. Eastwood refused. Thanks, but no. I made a promise to Carmel, that's all. And he returned. After 1988, Eastwood entered the most productive period of his career. Bird, Unforgiven, The Bridges of Madison County, Mystic River, $1 Million Baby. The mayorship hadn't slowed Eastwood down. Maybe it had recharged him. So what happened to Carmel? It continued on the path Eastwood opened. Ice cream is still eaten freely. Rules are still more reasonable. The town is still beautiful. And Mission Ranch still stands. The historic ranch Eastwood saved is today one of Carmel's most popular venues. Eastwood stops by occasionally, sits at the piano, plays jazz. Customers are surprised. Is that Clint Eastwood? Yes, and this is his place. Sometimes customers come to him. Mr. Eastwood, can we take a photo? Eastwood usually agrees, smiles, poses, then returns to his piano. The restaurant manager once explained, Mr. Eastwood doesn't come here for business. This place is like his home. He saved this building in the 1980s. Now he sits here and plays piano. It's like the story is complete. Is the story really complete? Perhaps. Eastwood never returned to politics. Senate, governor, presidency. He didn't want any of them. In 2012, he gave a speech at the Republican National Convention. He argued with Obama with an empty chair. This performance was controversial. Some thought it was genius. Some thought it was embarrassing. But this wasn't a return to politics. Just one night, just one speech. Eastwood's only political success remained in Carmel. 2 years. Ice cream freedom, historic building restoration, small things maybe, but real things. Why is this story important? Because it says a lot about Eastwood. Eastwood is usually known as the tough guy, Dirty Harry, the cowboy, silent, dangerous, emotionless. But the Carmel story shows a different Eastwood, a community-connected Eastwood, a responsibility-taking Eastwood, an Eastwood dealing with small issues instead of big ego, an Eastwood working for $200 a month, attending city council meetings, fighting an ice cream ban. This contradicts the Hollywood image, and maybe that's why it's so interesting. Eastwood isn't just a movie star. Eastwood is a citizen, a neighbor, a human being. And sometimes humans become mayor so they can eat ice cream. Is this absurd? Yes. Is this real? Yes. And is this Clint Eastwood? Absolutely. Carmel-by-the-Sea is still there today, overlooking the Pacific. Artists still live there. Tourists still come. And on the streets, people eat ice cream, in cones, while walking freely. Because in 1986, a cowboy came and changed the rules. Not Dirty Harry this time, just Clint. Neighbor Clint. Mayor Clint. And perhaps my favorite Clint. Because this story shows that heroes don't just shoot bad guys. Sometimes they just lift an ice cream ban. And that's a kind of heroism, too. Perhaps the most human kind.